If you could please rise and stand as the graduates are about to enter. You may be seated. Good evening. Welcome to the Asian Pacific Islander and South Asian American Cultural Achievement Ceremony. My name is Alina Noel Alegre. I currently work within the Office of Student Leadership and Engaged Learning as coordinator of the VCU Transform Living Learning Program. I am also a VCU alum. I graduated last spring in 2022 with my Bachelor of Arts in International Studies. I served on last year's planning committee for this ceremony while I was a student and have the incredible honor of returning to be the MC for tonight's special celebration. I'm so happy that all of you are here and able to join us as I get to take you on this little journey and introduce all of the wonderful people here to address you tonight. The cultural achievement ceremonies are hosted by the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs, and we are here today to celebrate all of the graduating students who identify as Asian Pacific Islander and South Asian American. We want to recognize your academic achievements in a space that affirms your cultural identity and rewards you for all of your hard work and dedication. So, without further ado, I now welcome Dr. Kadeba, Director of the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs, to the stage.
Yeah, there's a few things that are some of my favorite moments of graduation days, but as soon as I stand here and I see everyone, I am hit with just all the feelings and emotions, and it's wonderful and an honor to be here. Bonsoir, everyone. Thank you. So the OMSA team has joked with me all this season that we've entered Akwaaba season because it remains the way that I want to greet everyone during our cultural achievement ceremonies. Akwaaba means welcome in my home country of Côte d'Ivoire in West Africa, and I would like to sincerely greet you on behalf of the entire OMSA team and the Division of Student Affairs. Akwaaba family, friends, and loved ones gathered here tonight and joining us virtually from all over the country and all over the world. Akwaaba campus partners, faculty, staff, and every friend of OMSA in attendance. Akwaaba to our elders and ancestors whose blessings allow us to be here today. And a heartfelt Akwaaba to our spring 2023 VCU graduates, the very reason we're gathered here. Please give them a round of applause. Yes. We hadn't cheered for you yet, so yes. It's important for me as OMSA director to properly welcome you to this space. We're here for a celebratory occasion, after all. The cultural achievement ceremonies give us a chance to hold that the path to being here may have been tumultuous for some, and also you are here. You gave your heart and made it here, and your community is here to celebrate you. The second ceremony honoring our students of Asian descent has already gone through some changes since the inaugural ceremony last year, including a name change. I believe this highlights our commitment to learning and growing, as well as our continued efforts to serve you in a manner that best represents you and your beautifully rich and diverse culture and heritage. I can say that what never misses is how heartwarming the ceremony ends up being for all the ways it is designed to recognize your educational accomplishments. So go back in time with me and the OMSA team to reflect on some of the programs held over the past year. Perhaps you attended the experiential, cultural, and scientific event we hosted about the chemistry of henna. Maybe you attended deeply meaningful guided discussion events such as the Survivor Story, Kushnud Nabizada's narrative, or the Queering of West Asia conversation we held. Maybe you were one of the many students who joined us for the Asian faculty, students, and staff mixer. Maybe you came to have delicious food at Have You Eaten Yet? And learn more about mental health resources available to you on campus. Some of my favorite interactions this year have been chatting with students from the Asian diaspora at these events over food that is familiar to them, and hearing them share how meaningful it was for them to eat food from their heritage, food that they miss and may not have access to as much while on campus since their families are hours away. Maybe you attended meetings or social events held by wonderful student organizations on campus, such as the Lebanese Student Association, Japanese Students Association, or Filipino Americans Coming Together, better known as FACT. Or maybe tonight is the first time you're even interacting with the OMSA office. Either way, we're honored to show up for you and to shower you with love and praise today. In the world we navigate every day, the sort of love I'm speaking about is necessary and healing. With May being Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month recognized at the federal level, I think there is something special about this ceremony taking place during the month of May, near the other commencement ceremonies. And at OMSA, we sometimes say that we are who we are 365 days of the year. So you are therefore worthy and deserving of love and praise all year, and especially today. May you feel seen and loved and carry that energy with you all year. May you recognize how unique you are as we rejoice to celebrate you. I am humbled and so excited to utter the following words. Congratulations, Spring 2023 VCU graduates. We're so proud of you. Yes.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kadeba, for your welcome address. I would like to introduce our student speakers, Francine Singson and Julia Som. Francine receives a Master of Science in Rehabilitation and Mental Health Counseling, and Julia is receiving her Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Engineering with a minor in Rehabilitation and Human Factors Engineering. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
Good evening, graduates and loved ones. My name is Fran Singson, and I am a soon-to-be graduate of the College of Health Professions, representing the Rehabilitation and Mental Health Counseling Department. And I have the honor of sharing a few words with you all tonight. When I was thinking of what to write for the speech tonight, I had a few ideas. Thought to myself, maybe I can discuss how diverse our community is. The fact that the Asian, Pacific Islander, and Southeast Asian communities are not only a monolith, but a myriad assortment of traditions and cultures spanning hundreds of countries and thousands of years. Or I could talk about the fact that although we're all different, there are numerous similarities between our cultures, especially the conflict we feel between the obligation to family and the desire to self-actualize and create a better life that is true to our own values. However, when I came to the conclusion that what I came to the conclusion was that the best way and most honest way to get my point across, would be to tell a short story about an Asian American individual that we can all learn from as we look towards graduation and beyond. Florentino was a bright-eyed young man living in the northernmost tip Filipino island of Luzon. On the weekends when he wasn't in school, he enjoyed goofing around with his brothers, reading copies of National Geographic, looking out at the horizon, and fantasizing about the future he would one day create, far away from their small town of Gataran. After college, he was chosen to join the US Navy at Subic Bay. He started his career as a hospital corpsman in 1979 and retired as a chief almost 20 years later. He was the first of his family to settle down in the United States and paved the way for his loved ones and extended family to join him with the hopes of creating a better life. He accomplished a lot, but this was not the most remarkable thing about him. Florentino lived life vividly. In his free time, he enjoyed fishing, crabbing in the Chesapeake Bay, cultivating his backyard garden, and traveling to all the destinations he used to read about in National Geographic. He was a world-class cook and often brought his family and friends together for holidays. Manny Pacquiao, boxing matches, you name it. He would have lechon or big roasted pig at the family's dinner table at a moment's notice. More than anything, he loved sharing his pastimes with his family and his friends. In early 2020, while returning home from his travels in South America, Florentino was one of the first individuals to be hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. After a 3-month-long battle with the virus, he passed away alone in a hospital in Miami, far away from his loved ones, but agonizingly close within their hearts. What I didn't tell you guys from the beginning is that Florentino Singson was my late father and my biggest supporter, and that today is the 3rd-year anniversary of his passing. Exactly. There are so many things that we can take away from my dad's story. To lead with hope for the future rather than fear. The importance of investing in hobbies that not only recharge you, but also bring you and your community closer together. And lastly, to keep your eyes on the horizon, while also remembering to take time to be fully and intentionally present in the now. Thank you for allowing me to share this moment in time with you, and congratulations to the class of 2023.
All right, thank you, Francine. So good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name is Julia Sam, and I absolutely hate public speaking, but that's also why I'm here. I always seem to get myself into uncomfortable situations way outside my comfort zone. Sometimes I'm convinced I'm a masochist, but it's how I've learned to grow. And thankfully, they've let me keep my notes so this doesn't turn into a staring contest. I come from a Chinese-American background, born in Arlington, up in Northern Virginia, where once charming colonial and Cape Cod houses have slowly been replaced by 3-story mansions towering higher than the last. But otherwise, life seemed quaint. Quaint in the way we'd nosily watch our neighbors greet each other from their manicured lawns and gossip about the newest additions to houses around the block. I used to follow behind my brother as he played with the next-door neighbor's son, and fondly remember Nerf gun fights in the basement and lemonade stands where I'd give complimentary drawings to customers too kind to refuse my senseless scribbles. Growing up in these suburbs, I would hear complaints about how tiring it was to trek around Arlington's rolling hills and how we shouldn't go to the grocery store so late because of the rush hour traffic. I never really minded them until I had to walk my aunt's dog. Then I followed suit. I knew I was privileged, and I knew it then, but I understand it now. If these first world problems were all that I knew, what did it really mean to challenge myself? Elementary school me would proudly puff up her chest and solve a Rubik's Cube in under 2 minutes, or recite the Elements song to anyone who would tolerate her. But for the longest time after, this meant focusing on academics. I'd spend half of my free time outside of school doing homework, and the other half worrying about the homework I was procrastinating. And to be fair, I still do that. I did that with this speech, but it wasn't until college that I realized who I wanted to be. I'm grateful to admit that I was never pressured to be anything like a doctor or a lawyer, just to be my best. And even now, I'm unsure of what my next step will be after graduation. I'm a biomedical engineering major, and I'd like to say that I'll be working in the industry in the same fields, but who really knows what's in store? What I do know is that I'm learning to say yes, even when I doubt myself. I'm the person who participated in a RAM Hacks coding competition, having never coded before in my life, joined VCU's rocketry team to later build and launch 2 of my own just because I thought rockets were cool, and interned at the McGuire Veteran Affairs Hospital here in Richmond alongside school because it's my passion. Above all else, it's all of you that have shown me, motivated me to constantly seek discomfort, pursue ambition, and, well, show me what it means to challenge myself. Because there's this hunger to be better that's ingrained in everyone I've met here, especially with immigrant parents. I'm actually second gen, where my grandparents immigrated to the US from China, so you could say I know nothing of this. But I do feel a certain level of pressure to be more, to be enough for all of the struggles it took for my grandparents and parents to get here, to be better than my brother, because what kind of sibling would I be without competition? And to be someone I can be proud of. Throughout my time at VCU, I have seen you all do amazing things. How could I not compare myself when I see many of you presenting at conferences and winning awards on the national scale? You could call it envy, but it's inspiring. And maybe you're like me and you haven't accomplished any of those feats, yet you're still someone who leads. There's this quote by Simon Sinek, a wonderful author and motivational speaker, that goes like this: "There are leaders and there are those who lead. Leaders hold a position of power or authority, but those who lead inspire us." Whether they're individuals or organizations, we follow those who lead not because we have to, but because we want to. So maybe you're the secretary of a student org, or take the lead during a group project. There's a buzz of energy that pushes us to succeed. So on that note, I still hate public speaking, so I'll end it with this. Here's to surviving school through a pandemic, because if that's not resilience, I don't know what is. To helping each other through late study nights and drinking way too much coffee. And to our friends and families who, without their help, none of this would be possible. Congratulations, class of 2023. We're graduating.
Thank you, Francine and Julia, for both of your beautiful speeches. Next, I will introduce Arabi, VCU's South Asian a cappella group, who will be performing a mashup of Location by Khalid and Chana Maria by Arjit Singh.
Send me your location, let's focus on communicating, 'cause I just need the time and place to come through. Send me your location, let's ride the vibrations. I don't need nothing else but you. At times I wonder why I fool with you. This is new to me, this is new to you. Initially, I didn't want to fall for you. Gather my attention, it was all for you. So don't take advantage, don't leave my heart damaged. To understand that things go a little bit better when you plan it. Oh,
Thank you.
Can we get another round of applause? Okay, hopefully that stays. All right, thank you. Now I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Suja Sarah Matthew, appointed board member of the Virginia Asian Advisory Board. Suja Sarah Matthew is a driven community activist and passionate advocate who strives to build alliances while relentlessly fighting for issues that make communities stronger. For over 15 years, Ms. Matthew has had the opportunity to work within diverse and socially conscious industries. During her tenure as Director of Workforce Development at Goodwill of Central and Coastal Virginia, Ms. Matthew had oversight of the daily management and operations of the workforce development programs. Additionally, as City of Richmond Fire and Emergency Services Analyst, she had oversight of the planning and coordinating of grant development opportunities, as well as providing leadership for interdepartmental activities regarding the acquisition and administration of federal, state, and other grant funds. She also coordinated projects for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Office of Emergency Medical Services, and Virginia Department of Emergency Management. She has served for several years as a peer reviewer for the State Homeland Security Program. For over 10 years, she has led a national grassroots effort in spearheading health policy legislation for physicians, as well as in the state of Virginia. Ms. Matthew has served on multiple gubernatorial boards, including the Virginia School Readiness Committee, the Virginia Complete Count Commission, and was a past chair and vice chair of the Virginia Asian Advisory Board. In 2018, Suja was one of the founding members of the 501c3 nonprofit organization, Asian and Latino Solidarity Alliance of Central Virginia. She writes on nonprofit financial management, such as the impact of the nonprofit tax status between for-profit companies and nonprofit entities for Nonprofit Quarterly and Blue Avocado. She was chosen in 2022 as a Woman of Impact by Virginia Tech and received the Facilitator Award by the Sorensen Political Leadership Program. Currently, Ms. Matthew resides in Henrico County. She enjoys tennis and fighting the patriarchy. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Suja Sarah Matthew.
Thank you very much. Thank you to VCU Office of Multicultural Student Affairs, Dr. Cha, Dr. Coate, and Jair for inviting me to speak. Sorry, my voice doesn't carry very well today. First of all, it's an honor and privilege to be here and speak. I am a former VCU graduate, and back when I graduated many years ago, I had asked Jair to actually check and see how many students were actually of AAPI descent. And the statistics at the time, I think we weren't checking the demographics. And it was, I think, 70% white, 13% black, and 11% other. So just so you know, and I think this, the census overall nationally was 3% AAPI. So that'll give you an idea of our communities in general. So just to give you an idea. So again, thank you for putting such a wonderful event together, and thanks for that wonderful introduction. I also wanted to note in the I guess the schedule there, I am not a doctor, okay? So I did not make that mark for the parents here in the room. I'm not a doctor. So I want to take a moment also to talk about these two incredible students of AAPI descent from VCU, whose light was taken too early. Sean Soares, and who was 26, and I guess he was on the sidewalk recently, and he was walking, and he hit an SUV actually hit him. And Maru Khan, back in February, she was crossing the street on West Main, and both were just taken too early, and they were bright, and they were doing some amazing things. I actually knew Sean. He was part of the past administration, and Sean was a change maker. President Rouse said that he was one of the best students he had known. He was an MBA student who also was working for an environmental justice company. I'd like to dedicate this event to both Sean and Marog. So I just wanted to let you all know that I feel it's very important. I know this particular event, this is the second time VCU has done something like this, and so I just wanted to say that. And I think that we have, put 2 pictures up for them. So I felt that was very important to do that. Now, I'm not going to say anything very inspirational here. I'm just glad to see that we have a room full of AAPI graduates, and I'd like to think that most of you are not just in these stereotypical AAPI educational roles. But again, I know my people, and so I was told I have 15 minutes. I promise I'm not going to take that long. I know I'm what stands between you and the food, so and I really don't have that much to say. But I can tell you that there are a few things that I can share. One, your self-worth should never be equated to your, and I speak to myself, this is a reminder to myself first, okay, before anyone else. Your self-worth should never be equated to your career or your grades, okay? That's the key thing. Always remember that. Your voice is powerful. 3, try to leave this world significantly better than you found it. What I'm sure of is this room, like most AAPI students, is filled with overachievers and their parents who are not really impressed with me because I'm not a physician or engineer. So there's probably not much I can say that's going to wow you today. What I do know is that there's a lot of similar career paths in this room because we do what we're told. And trust me, I get that. Like many of you all here, I was born and brought up here, and I too, right, was told to go here because, I had to go here because I had to drive, I had to stay here. Who relates to that? Who had to go to VCU because I grew up here in Richmond? Right? And then, okay. Who was driven to school? I was that loved. All right, okay. But I just want to point out that it's the change makers like Sean, okay, that I believe you should look to for your inspiration. Because in the time that he was here, Sean was a champion for AAPI, for the AAPI community and civic engagement, in environmental justice, and in building bridges in Virginia that most people could only hope to do in a lifetime. Over time, the things that I learned to value about my identity, whether it was my language, whether it was my religion, the food, always the food, okay? How it brings people together, the rich history, the stories of my parents, my grandparents, the relative stories, visiting the country, whether it was my friends' parents or their, other people's stories, their countries, their nationalities, their languages, other people's types of foods. I could go on. Getting to know others and really getting to know their language, their traditions, it really added value to my life. And if you can figure out ways to add those sparkles of your identity, your language, your traditions to who you are, it really is amazing. And then to share that with others from different backgrounds. And I know that may not be easy at times. Our relationships are sometimes riddled with struggle. Our countries are rife with generational and intergenerational trauma, colonialism. That sometimes takes years and decades to heal, if that. Did you know that new research reveals that youth mental health crisis is taking a heavy toll on the Asian American community? Statistics from the CDC shows that suicide is the first leading cause of death for Asian American youth adults, accounting for 1/3 of the deaths among Asian Americans aged 20 to 24. This is the only racial group within the age demographic for whom this is true. It is why our board added a health committee a few years back and added mental health as a specific area of concern. We cannot ignore the stress that is consistently placed on our communities. But now more than ever, we need to find ways to uplift each other. And we have such strong traditions of community and culture, and it's wonderful and it should be celebrated. And it's incredibly important to get involved in aspects of community building and civic engagement. And how you do that is up to you, in whatever ways that you see fit. And finally, parents, specifically our immigrant parents. Yes, I'm looking at you. Parents, listen up. Your children do so much to make you proud and have sacrificed so much and a lot of who they are in order to do just that. And these things are really, you may never understand, but the amount of stress and difficulty that they are enduring in this day and age is much harder than I ever endured when I was growing up in this country, when there was only 1 or 2 of me in school. Okay, it's much different than when I was growing up. The cultural norms that are imposed on them that you may think that are best are not what matters. It is your relationship with them. Don't sacrifice that for anything. In the end, it is not worth it. I guarantee you, it is not worth it. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. I am so proud of every one of you. You have worked so hard. I see you. A+s all around. Congratulations, class of 2023. Parents, siblings, thank you.
Thank you to our keynote speaker. Can we get another round of applause? All right, now for the moment you have been waiting for. I will call Nakni Guidarelli, librarian and professor of French language, to the stage. She will read your name. Please come to the stage with your donor if you have one. If you do not, we will don you for your donor. And then please stay on stage to pose for a photo, and then you may return to your seat, and I will be back. Thank you.
All right. I would invite Ms. Francine Sing-Song to come to the podium. Congratulations. Give her a round of applause. Next, Julia Song. Please come to the podium. Congratulations. Next, Ms. Fatina Batul. Please come to the podium. Give her a round of applause. Thank you. Next, Dinah Hall. Thank you. Right. Sabine Ijaz. They come to the podium. Congratulations. Leilani Kabinti. Thank you. Let's do a round of applause. Okay. Now, Nuririt Kaur, could you please come to the podium? Yay. Amir Kusari, could you please come to the podium? Congratulations. Bianca Lam, would you please come to the podium? Right? Next, Yelin Lee, could you please come to the podium? Congratulations. Now, Kimberly Lin Tak Nguyen. Please come to the podium. Yay, Kimberly. Yay. Thank you. Merci. Congratulations. Next, Ying Lu. Could you please come to the podium? Julie Nguyen, please come to the podium. Congratulations. Sonia Riaz, could you please come to the podium? Congratulations. Now, Aslan Sidaji, could you please come to the podium? Yes. Thank you. Congratulations. Mary Clarence Drews, could you please come to the podium? Congratulations. Shu Han Tu, could you please come here? Hannah Verghese. Next, could you please come to the podium? Lê Mai Võ, could you please come to the podium? And Ethan Satterwhite, could you please come to the podium? Oh, congratulations. Thank you very much. Round of applause to all the graduates. Thank you.
Congratulations to all the graduates, yay! All right, I know you all just sat down, but if we could ask you all to come to the stage, to the front on stage, is that okay? Or to the side? Oh, on the stage is fine, yes. If you could all please come up to the stage and take a group photo. Just graduates. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. If you could please return to your seats for the closing remarks. All right, thank you. So I want to start off these closing remarks by saying thank you to OMSA and all of the campus partners that helped put this ceremony together. I also want to take a moment to thank my fellow committee members that also helped. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. That's Frank Cha, Paul Yoon, Colleen Choate, Julian Nguyen, Nakmi Guidarelli, and Jair Lecky. Thank you. And thank you to all of you for allowing me to be your MC tonight. This experience has been a full circle moment for me. A year ago, I was in your shoes and I attended this ceremony as a graduate. And now I have returned and witnessed all of you be recognized. So if any of you would like to come back next year and be the MC, we are hopefully trying to make that a tradition. So keep an eye out. And I just wanted to take a moment to share a quick little piece of a speech that I wrote last year for the ceremony. It'll all make sense in the end, but hopefully we can get through this quite quickly. I thought maybe I wouldn't use this, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and move forward with it. So this is just a blurb from a draft that I wrote last year. The truth is, when I came to college, I wasn't really sure what my culture meant to me. Growing up, there wasn't a lot of representation, especially in film and TV. If there was, it was almost always negative or stereotypical. In school, there wasn't very many Asian American kids. I could probably count on my hands how many Filipino American kids I knew at school outside of my family and my family friends. Because of this, I sort of always thought of my life at school and my culture as separate, and I intended to keep it that way. I struggled with embracing my cultural identity because of the negative experiences and feelings I had in most spaces when I did. I remember being hesitant to join any cultural student organizations when I came to college. I didn't want to further reinforce any labels or stereotypes that I had spent years avoiding in grade school. It wasn't until a couple semesters in that I realized my environment at VCU embraces diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that I could be comfortable embracing my cultural identity. When I first heard about the development of this ceremony a few months ago, I wrote this a year ago, so we're here now. I knew I had to get involved. I was excited to hear that students like myself would finally have their own designated celebration too. This is actually the first time I've ever written or given a speech at any type of commemorative event ever, and I don't think I would be standing here today if it wasn't for something I was truly passionate about. I'm proud to be a member of this community, and I'm proud to be a part of this graduating class. Funny enough, I wrote this. I thought I was going to submit it to be a student speaker. Never did. I was not the student speaker last year. And so thank you for allowing me to recycle that speech. This is what I meant by a full circle moment. All of you are experiencing one today. You've graduated, and I'm completely and incredibly proud of all of you. We are all incredibly proud of you. And most importantly, you should be incredibly proud of yourself for your achievements and for embracing your cultural identity. I hope you continue to have many more moments just like this one. Moving forward, as a celebration of this momentous occasion, there is a reception in your honor sponsored by the Office of Inclusive Engagement and Philanthropy and the Office of Alumni Relations and the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs. While we are here to celebrate you completing an incredible achievement, you are a RAM for life, and thus begins your journey in the VCU alumni world. Join the club. There will be food right outside this room with a small seating in the back and extended seating in the James River Terrace down the hall to your right. The alumni and staff at the reception want to meet you and hear about your successes and your plans for the future. Greet them openly and don't be afraid to share. They've been in your shoes and you can learn so much from each other. So we ask you to exit out of these doors specifically, and I guess there will be people out there. I don't know what's outside of this room, so. Congratulations again, and now the celebration continues. Please exit through those doors to the reception.